Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to Tay TV. In my video, I'm going to be reacting to scary TikToks that you should not watch alone. Let's get into these videos.
Can't visit Ramree Island. Ramree Island has crocodiles that killed almost 1,000 soldiers in WW2 North Sentinel Island. North Sentinel Island is home to people who kills anybody who tried to visit their island.
Okay, that's crazy.
Serious eerie towns, disappearing diners, and creepy gas station. What's your true, unexplained story of being in a place that shouldn't exist? Many years ago, myself and two of my best friends decided to go for a day of mountain biking at Snowshoe in southern Virginia. Now this was way before the days of GPS, so we were kinda doing this by some half-assed directions and an old map. But the point is we got very lost. Sometime along the way we ended up in this very tiny little town and we figured we would ask for directions. It was absolutely deserted. I'm talking not a single soul to be seen anywhere. We parked the truck and split up looking for anyone. Now this was at around 9 to 10 a.m. so not exactly the ass crack of dawn, mind you. We went into the post office, nobody. We went into the only bar in town, which was unlocked, unattended, with music playing, but not a single soul present. We went business to business and walked the streets, and after about 25 minutes finally found one old guy who just seemed to appear out of nowhere in the middle of town walking alone. The first question we asked his wasn't even for directions. It was, "Where the hell is everyone?" To which he replied, "Well, I guess folks round here don't get up much till round noon." We asked him for directions to Snowshoe and he pointed to the road we came in on and said to go that way about 10 miles and make a right and we will find the interstate. We left quickly. We all had a very bad sense of unease about the whole thing. As we left, we were about 5 miles down the road and hit a lady dressed up in a state road uniform standing in the middle of a very long straightaway holding a stop sign. When we approached her, she turned the sign from slow to stop. We asked what was going on. She stated that there was road construction ahead. We told her of what just happened and she just kinda laughed and said those people in that town are kinda strange, but let it slide. So we actually started talking to her, waiting for a line of traffic to come by from the opposite direction. We actually ended up talking to her for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just shooting the shit. Kinda got lost in the convo. Not one single vehicle ever approached from the other direction or behind us. Eventually she said, "Well, I guess it's clear now and you all can go ahead," and slowly turned the sign from stop to slow in motion for us to go ahead. We went straight ahead, the only direction you could possibly go, for the next 30 some odd miles, and didn't see any signs of construction, state road workers, or maintenance going on at all. She had no vehicle. We figured she was a flag woman dropped off by some crew up ahead. After the encounter with the town and this woman, we had enough and called it quits. We turned on the interstate as soon as we found it and headed north and home. Every single one of us still remembers this whole encounter in vivid detail to this day. I asked my friend about it actually about 3 months ago at this wedding and it still freaks him out to no end.
That was too fast for me to even understand. What's that? Better took off.
Siblings of sociopaths or narcissists. When did you realize your sibling wasn't normal? I realized my younger sister wasn't okay when from a very early age would abuse our pets. It started off with things that my mother played off as being accidental because of her age, like pulling the cat's tail or pouring harmful things into all the fish bowls. Then it escalated to shaving the cats, cutting off their whiskers, and eventually things like me catching her bouncing on the cat till it shit itself from the pressure. Then I think my mom finally got her some attention when she cut the cat's ear off. She did other things too, like punching herself and scratching herself, pulling her own hair during tantrums. Kid still not right even now in her teens. I learned that she wasn't normal when she forced my younger sister 5 and I 7 to smoke a cigarette. She then started laughing because we were getting sick. It was either that or being forced to stand in the snow with my bare feet until my parents came home, so I chose to smoke the cigarette. Needless to say, that was the last time my parents allowed her to babysit us.
What's the biggest bullet you've ever dodged? A literal one. A friend was showing off some handguns he bought with his first paycheck. Checked the chamber to make sure nothing was there, sighted at me and pulled the trigger. Of course, the gun was loaded. Bullet passed over my right shoulder and buried itself in a chair. We aren't friends anymore for some odd reason. Once at a bar, a woman was surprisingly into me as we danced. If I had had more confidence back then, I definitely could have taken her home. In the end, one of my karaoke buddies ended up with her instead and got caught by her husband that night. I got on an intercity bus and almost sat in the middle but moved and sat at the back. The bus later collided with a truck and got opened up like a tin can. If I had sat where I originally intended, I would have been killed.
Crack. The mascot was slumped in front of a mirror without his mask on. He was sobbing pitifully. When I got a look at his face, I was taken aback. He looked emaciated and deathly pale, as if he hadn't been outside in years. There were cuts and bruises all over his face, like he'd been beaten. Please, boss. I can't do this anymore. Please, let me go. I could hear the thundering footsteps of the owner pacing around in the room. Shut up, you wimp! God, you're such a baby! Why can't you handle a simple job? I'm trying. I just want to go home. Through the crack in the door, I could see the reflection of the mirror. The owner crept up behind the man in the costume and leaned in close to his ear. Well, unless you'd like to find a replacement for the role of Chuck E. Cheese, there's nobody else to take your place. That means you're going to stay here and keep the business afloat, okay? You can't go home. You must stay in character. Man, people don't want to work here that bad. I can see why. My curiosity got too intense for my own good. I crept forward just a little too far, and I bumped into the door. It creaked wide open and exposed me clear as day. I stood there, embarrassed. Well, it looks like we found ourselves a new applicant for the position of Chuck E. Cheese, he says, as he kicks the mascot over and steps on his stomach. The owner looks at me and says, "Shut the door, buddy. We need to have a talk." "You messed up, man. But thank you." The mascot whimpers from under the owner's foot. I think it's safe to say we can become a 24-hour franchise, boys.
That Chucky on them.
What the scariest true story you know? The story of Jamie Kloss is terrifying. In rural Wisconsin last year, a 14-ish-year-old girl went missing after her parents were murdered in their home. Police arrived within 4 minutes or so, but she is just gone. Of course, speculation is that she was kidnapped, or that she was in on it or dead or whatever. Nobody knows because she is completely vanished. 88 days later, in the dead of a northern Wisconsin winter, she runs out into the street to a woman walking her dog. She had been held captive about 40 minutes from her home. All of that is scary enough, but here's the terrifying part. She had never had any contact with the guy that murdered her family and abducted her. One day he was driving to a new job, at which he only lasted a day, and saw her get on the school bus. At that moment he decided that he was going to take her. There was no warning, no grooming. There was absolutely nothing that she or her family could have done to avoid everything. A creepy young man saw her from 100 feet away and decided that he would murder her family and take her for himself.